Today we're looking at Shin Megami Persona 3 Portable. Now this is really a tough one for me to talk about, mainly because, as many of you know, I cut my teeth on Persona 4's vibrant visuals, immersive gameplay, and story that gets you involved right from the beginning. Unfortunately, Persona 3 doesn't do any of those things. Yet, for some reason, here I am on playthrough 2. I have no idea why I've stuck with it that long, quite honestly. Let's dive in and see what this has to offer. Now, for a lot of the footage, I'm going to be using the PlayStation 2 Persona FES edition, which I own downstairs. But, of course, for the features to this, I had to actually take the footage right off of the TV screen using a component cable from my PSP because, well, I don't have anything that records off of component. Good luck finding something, right? Anyway, let's not waste any more time and get right to it. The plot centers around the emo-looking self-insertion protagonist that transfers into the city of Tatsumi Port Island. He quickly finds that he, and most of his dorm roommates, have the ability to summon creatures called Persona, using gun-shaped devices called evokers. And yes, it does look kinda fucked up when they use them.
I command thee! Don't mess with me!
Using their powers, they spend the next year fighting creatures called Shadows, who emerge from a tower called Tartarus, during a hitting hour between one day and the next. It sounds really stupid explaining it to you like this, but the game actually does a pretty good job of selling you its clown shoes premise as dark and interesting. Now, why am I talking about the plot instead of the actual story? Well, it seems that Atlas kinda, sorta forgot the code one during the first, 30 hours of fucking gameplay! Literally, the game is basically like, hey shithead, go climb this massive tower. Which is the game's sole dungeon, by the way. Until we feel like giving you a reason to do so. There's basically no incentive to keep going early on, which is a huge problem. That being said, when the story actually does kick in, it's actually pretty memorable. It's just that 90% of people aren't going to have the patience to wait for it to show up. With a nearly non-existent story, it's up to the characters to keep you invested, but again, they can't go the distance needed. Don't get me wrong, there's nothing wrong with the cast. Hell, it has a Persona-wielding puppy for Christ's sake. Look at him, he's awesome! But they just aren't strong enough to make up for the sluggish narrative. Worse, the character development is handled in a more traditional sense, with, say, characters telling you their backstory and whatnot, instead of the dynamic way that Persona 4 did it when you're actually delving into their deepest fears. I can't even begin to describe what difference it makes. The way I like to compare it, Persona's 4 characters are like vibrant, rosy memories of the good times you shared with your friends in high school, while P3's cast is like the real thing. Boring most of the time, but with memorable moments. Unfortunately, the game also suffers from being really repetitive, with far less to do than Persona 4, and far fewer valid options. Social links feel less interesting and rewarding, there's no mini-games to mix things up, and very few events take place to alleviate the day-to-day monotony. Also, the game pretty much expects you to give gifts to any girl you're pursuing a social link with, only without much in the way of hints about what a particular girl likes. Adding a small game world and a single omnipresent dungeon, and you have a pretty dull experience, all things told. Presentation-wise, this is a pretty mixed bag. The game world outside of dungeons has been cut down to still images where you cursor over NPCs and interaction points. It's quicker than running around, but certainly doesn't do the game any favors as far as immersion goes. The graphics in Tartarus aren't half bad for the PSP, and definitely get the job done, although the dark, gloomy color palette doesn't make it all too appealing to look at. The music, well, frankly it's not my cup of tea. There are some catchy tracks here and there, but the hip-hop vibe just isn't my thing. I'll take Persona 4's soundtrack over this any day. The voice acting is rock solid at least, and there's actually tons of it for a PSP release, but the trade-off is that the anime cutscenes are gone. There's basically as much going for as against it here, but it's not bad considering the PSP's limitations. So I've spent most of this review railing this game, but where it stands strong is the battle system and the persona raising and fusing. Everything works exactly as in Persona 4, so go check out that video for a detailed description. But it basically comes down to exploit enemy weaknesses for extra turns. It's a rock solid basis, but there are some quirks. In every version except Portable, you cannot assume direct command of your allies. This can occasionally get characters killed, but the AI is competent for the most part. Also, the game originally had an artificial time limit on how long you could explore Tartarus, where your party would get tired for being in there too long and take a massive debuff if you lingered any longer, forcing you to waste multiple nights going into the tower. Thankfully, this has been removed in Portable. Speaking of Portable features, they added a female protagonist mode, with a slightly different story and different social link opportunities, as well as a couple extra dungeons and battles, which gives you enough incentive to run through the game a second time. Unfortunately, the Answer expansion pack from Persona 3 FES was omitted, so this isn't the most complete version possible. Well, that's Persona 3 Portable. If you're looking for something to play on your PSP that has a lot of content and playtime, well, you could do a lot worse than this. This is going to run you about 70 hours or more. However, everyone else should really just stick to Persona 4. It's really hard to go back once you've played the game. And Persona 4 is available on PSN, PS2, and Vita. So there's little excuse not to get it now. Anyway, thanks for watching. I hope to see you back here again.